Welcome to the Brunton Report. This interview tells the story of quite literally Phoenix from the ashes. Following a devastating fire in 2020, Contact Originators have now moved to a brand new facility here in Dukinfield near Manchester. Steve, how are you? Good to see you.
Fine, great to see you. Welcome to Contact.
We are here at Contact Originators here in Dukinfield. We are 10 miles northeast of Manchester. Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Dan, great to see you, and thanks for visiting Contact.
Well, before we get into the main part of the interview, tell the audience a little bit about the background of Contact.
Contact Originators was formed in 1992, so it's just over 30 years old. Initially it was formed as a studio doing artwork, origination and retouching, but quickly moved into plate production and supplying plates into the flexible and corrugated label market. We built the business, continued to build and be successful, and it was operated from 2 sites in Bredbury. That was all until around 4 years ago. I actually got involved in the business 10 years ago, but 4 years ago we had a disaster where we had a devastating fire. The fire actually wiped out 50% of our production and literally burnt it to the ground. So we had one hell of a challenge on our hands there, which we, with the team that we have in place, responded and got the business up and running again on the Monday, and was supported by some friendly competitors in the marketplace. That meant we had to look for a new home, and today when you visit us at Dukinfield, that was the result of the fire, and probably a year's worth of work to get us to where we are today. The fire's given us an opportunity really to start afresh in a site of some 32,000 square feet, and we've actually laid it out in a flow process and an actual full production mode, which we were fortunate to do because we were starting from scratch. We continue to grow. Our business currently employs 71 people. Around 50 people are on site and 21 people work predominantly in our customers on site, looking after their artwork and feeding that back to the facility here.
So Steve, if we go back to 2020, devastating fire,
Yep.
COVID.
Yeah, that was on the back of it as well.
So you had absolutely everything thrown at you. The business, it's fair to say, has come out stronger.
Yep.
Tell us about the way in which you search for a new site. You've obviously found somewhere where we are today that is triple the size of where you were before.
Yeah.
Did you feel that it was an opportunity for you to actually future-proof the business?
Exactly. Out of the fire obviously came the ability to look to the future, and gave us the opportunity to invest in the latest equipment, lay it out in a future-proof way, with plenty of space in a logical flow process and plenty of room for the employees. And it gave the employees really the opportunity to produce plates in the most efficient way possibly.
So Steve, when you looked at this new facility, obviously a lot more space, you were able to look at the workflow, the production flow, but you've also chosen very specific suppliers of processing equipment, plate mounting. Tell us about those relationships with those suppliers.
The relationships we have with our suppliers, we actually don't have suppliers, we have supply partners. And what we have the ability to do, certainly in this scenario, was to look for the best and the actual best equipment in that particular field, and that's what we've done. So we've got the best processing kit, the best mounting kit, etc., and coupled with a distillation unit, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But anybody can buy this equipment. We've put it together in a particular way, and then working with our workflows and our MIS systems, we manufacture plates in a completely different way than we did before, with one eye on efficiency and sustainability.
So when you look at the physical footprint of this facility, it's given you these lovely long production flows. So when customers come here and they see their plates being made, I mean, what's their feedback? Because you've come from a site that was probably a little bit small and stuff moving around in probably not sequential order. This new facility gives you this opportunity to really showcase workflow.
Yeah, our previous site was 14,000 square metres. Here we've got 32,000, so we've got a huge difference in footprint. And when our customers, we've actually laid it out almost like a printer's site. So there's a flow process, so they can relate to what we've done and how we operate right away. As you've seen, the lines have got names. In the main hall we've got Maximus and Invictus rather than a line 1 and line 2. So they're personal, and we can monitor and we refer to them as the names. So that's enabled us to make plates in the most efficient way, utilising resource, people, not having them walk from one end of the factory to the other. There's a flow process, raw materials from one end and then the finished products at the other end.
In terms of the investment, I think there's a number that I read somewhere, over £6 million invested. Obviously you had to after the fire. Put it into context. If you look at the size and the scale that you are today, where are you running capacity-wise at the moment? Are you sort of 40%, 45%? I mean, is there scope to double the size of the business?
Yeah, there's scope to double it from this business. We're currently about 40%. Okay. And when we look at what we can produce on a daily basis, it's around 1.2 million square inch a day. This site last year produced enough plates to cover Wembley Stadium's pitch 7.5 times. Wow. And then somebody worked out recently that if we put the plates end to end, they would go for 23.5 miles.
Wow.
Don't know. I can't envisage that really, but that's the volumes that we're putting through this facility. It's got headroom, of course, and we need to utilise that headroom. And of course, the way that the machines are set up, we've created this facility, it needs to be fed, and the more it's fed, then the more efficient it becomes and the more throughput, and we'll be a lot happier with that.
And when you look at the physical process of making plates for corrugated packaging, and we'll focus on corrugated, I know obviously you cover flexible packaging as well. There's still quite a lot of manual process, isn't there? But you're doing an awful lot to really automate the process as much as possible.
Yeah, there's only one particular process left that isn't fully automated. And in the flow process, we've utilising an efficient employees, one employee's running 2 lines. The labour intensive comes at the back where we are, cutting and mounting and then obviously moving into distribution. So there's more people work at the end of the chain than at the start of the chain. But we are working in the most efficient way. Our employees love it because they literally don't have to move that far from the workstation, and the plates are fed through the line, completely visible to everybody, and works very well.
Behind us and over to the right-hand side, there is the fruits of your labour. There are medals, there are trophies, there are certificates from the FIA. Obviously, quality is at the heart of what Contact's all about. You're producing a top quality product that allows your customer to make the best box possible. Why are awards so important?
I think awards are important for 2 things. It's recognised from the industry and from our customers, which are important to us. And we've won many awards for the work, but we've also won awards for being Supplier of the Year. And that underpins what we set out to achieve, and that's voted for by the trade. And it underpins the efforts of our staff. You know, they recognise it. You know, when they walk past the trophies every day, they all play a part in that. You know, we've a tremendous team here. The resilience during that fire period, you know, really got us through to the other side. People had to change the work processes. The team is second to none. There's no, they all work together, they all interact, they've all got a part to play, and why not sharing that success, because they're all part of it.
We touched on the FIA, Flexographic Industry Association. You're the incoming chairman, 2025.
Yeah, next year, yeah.
So tell us about the FIA. Obviously, it's grown over the years. Some would have known it as the EFIA originally. Tell us about some of the work that the FIA is doing, because it's obviously very central to the success of the industry at large.
Yeah, the FIA obviously represents the whole industry, so it's not just corrugated or flexibles or labels. It represents the whole industry, and it's impartial and supports each section of the market in the relevant way. Yeah, it's very successful right now. You know, we sell the awards dinners out every year, becoming more and more attended, more and more new members, partners. The board consists of like-minded people from with the industry who give up the time free. I think I'm in my 7th year, and I've obviously got another few years to go with the chairmanship. I enjoy being part of it. I understand and get to understand lots of things that's happening in the marketplace, and play my part and give my views and abilities back to the industry, and I believe we do a really good job, Dan.
But it's talking about giving back to the industry, coming back to Contact. Obviously, EcoVadis Silver Award a couple of years ago, something that was probably a little bit unusual at the time that you were pushing. But I mean, if we look at the supply chain from the beginning through the artwork and plates all the way through to the finished box, the supply chain is exactly that. So accreditation is really important to you.
Yeah, it does. It underpins what we set out to do, and I know, you know, we want to be a leader, and we've worked hard to get to the position where we are, and we've got to continue to work harder to stay. So, you know, it's not just a one journey. You get where you're going, and then you have to work harder to stay there. But we went on the sustainability journey about 4 or 5 years, and I started to talk internally, and people were, what's this? What is he talking about here? You know, we make plates, we do the artwork, etc. But sustainability is, and the way we make plates and the impact that we have in making plates in the environment is as key as the actual product itself. And the EcoVadis, for a company like Contact, an independent company based in the UK, we now are within the top 4% within our sector of the industry. So we rub shoulders with some of the big boys. And my quality manager, who's involved in the EcoVadis, is pushing for us to go for gold. That is really, you know, the next step, but a huge, you know, improvement from where we are. But we're happy with the silver. Our customers see that as a benefit for them. I think sustainability, how we make plates, the recyclability, the projects. When you talked about FIA, you know, I've been involved for the last few years on a project about how can we recycle plates.
So that was something that you were doing with McDermott, correct?
Yeah, McDermott have now come up with a solution that can actually take the plate material and turn it into something else that can be reused. And that's an interesting, I mean, it's a long way off of actually being, you know, live and kicking, but the actual principles, the trialing, the testing is showing some good promise, and it stops plates from either being waste plates being into landfill or incinerated.
And continuing this theme of sustainability, within your process, there are chemicals that are required. Tell us about the investment in Goliath, the big still system that you put in a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Goliath really, when you're making plates, there's obviously a huge amount of solvent involved, particularly in corrugated plates. Corrugated plates will use, on average, about 50 litres of solvent to wash out. Flexible plates could be 13, 14 or 15, so a lot less. To underpin the volume that we've got here, we needed something, hence Goliath, which is the largest still in the industry, in our industry in Europe, and is capable of reprocessing solvent at 500 litres roughly an hour. That underpins the volume. It's got headroom. It's only running probably 20% of its capacity now. It's from a sustainability point of view, it's recovering 97-98% of the solvent, so it's being reused, and we're recycling solvent 20 times. It's heated by steam. The conventional heating for distillation units were vats of oil with heat elements in it. So we now heat this with a steam, so it's like a giant kettle. The steam is recaptured and then recirculated, so it's one of the most efficient ways of running a distillation unit, and it underpins what we do today.
And I noticed from the site that you've actually got that in a separate building, so you've obviously learned a lot of lessons about the situation with the fire. Explain how the facility here has the fire protection with the wall, with the separate still unit. So
yeah, we were fortunate in the facility itself that before we moved in here, it was a tyre depot for trucks and buses. So what essentially we've got here is 3 production facilities under one roof, all separated by firewalls and sophisticated fire systems and doors. So the actual still, in Bredbury, everything was under one roof. And as business evolves, we'll stick a new machine over there and that's over there, and we couldn't swing a cat round at some stages. So the distillation unit was right in the thick of it. What we've done now, even though the distill wasn't necessarily the root of the fire, they never discovered what it was. We've now got it in its own unit. It's 2,500 square feet. Everything is piped in and piped out. It's got safety systems, so if there was an issue in the still, it can't get to production. If there was an issue in production, it can't get to the still. So yeah, coming here and having the fire has given us that benefit of now looking to the future, and it's got capacity, to underpin our growth going forward.
Let's bring our focus to the industry now. Obviously there's been big moves as more and more corrugated box plants, doesn't matter whether it's integrated, independent, they're championing graphics. They're starting to invest in 3-colour, 4-colour, HQPP. Gone are the days of brown boxes and single colour. What is the process that, when you're working with customers and they're starting to make this transition into graphics, how do you help educate them that the plate is not just a disposable thing that you can, put your cup of tea on and drive a forklift truck over? How do we get that message across to the industry that this is an investment in, it's not a disposable consumable?
Yeah, exactly. A plate is a very expensive piece of equipment. We do it in 2 ways. One is we have a real good technical department here, and our lead technical manager, director, is an ex-printer. His background is printing, so he can relate to the guys that are using the plates on presses. He's well aware of the machines, how they operate, etc. So we go and we support and we help. And then secondly, it's an education process, because plates aren't cheap. And as you said, we have had plates back and with a forklift truck that's run over it and said this plate doesn't work. So we educate our customers and the guys that are using them how to clean them, how to store them. If they're dragging them across the floor, it's like dragging a HD TV, and would you do that? Maybe some people would, but I definitely wouldn't. And it's a continuing process to make sure that the plates, because we go to a lot of trouble to ensure that the quality of that plate is is exactly what they need to produce that quality work. And the last thing we want to do is to then say, well, you haven't cleaned it properly, or you haven't stored it properly, or you haven't treated it properly, and you've abused, the actual substrate.
And I guess also when you look at some of the developments from some of the equipment suppliers who produce the racking systems now, there's automated systems that can store all these expensive flexo printing plates. Huge amounts are being done as well, because obviously health and safety, the operators, the machines are getting wider, the plates are getting bigger and heavier. So automation is obviously a really important aspect of the industry. You mentioned it earlier, you're working with integrated multinationals, independents just down the road. Obviously the spread of your customer base is growing. It was wonderful seeing your operators actually loading them into corrugated boxes, carefully being shipped to the customers. I know that you also have your own fleet of transport, so that they're not getting damaged in transit. But your latest news, a couple of months ago, you opened a Flexo Hub, another facility here in the UK. Tell us about that development.
That's really come about where we are looking to have hubs for, it's a studio, right? It's a studio with specialist operators within there to cover off different aspects of our trade. I mean, one of the things that COVID brought to the business was people working at home. Technology's been used more now, and if you look at the Teams systems, the video conferencing, it's been around for years, but it actually came to its forefront during COVID. So we've got people working on sites, working individually, but we feel by having a hub in an area where we've got a group of people, of specialists, that they can work together, they can feed off each other, they've got more interaction rather than just sitting, looking at a screen and communicating via phone. So the first one is in Louth, and we opened that a few months ago, as you're aware. We have plans for further, and
so international expansion.
Yeah, we're doing more work into Europe. We're exporting plates and have done for a while.
And that's obviously working with groups, is it? So the
it's working groups and internationals and individuals as well. So we are shipping plates all over, and until recently we were shipping plates to Canada, believe it or not.
Wow.
So there's a demand there. Brexit didn't help. Obviously, there's some different barriers to get across, but we're starting to get there, and the actual customers over there are responsive. We're bringing something that they haven't necessarily got access to now, and giving them the same results as what they would get here in the UK.
Well, Steve, thank you ever so much indeed for joining me today. Wishing you all the best of luck with Contact. Wishing you much more growth, continued growth, and thank you so much indeed.
Thanks again, Dan. Great to see you. Thank you.